Close your eyes and let the weight of the world dissolve into the mattress beneath you. Breathe deeply, exhaling all earthly tension. We are leaving the shore of the familiar, drifting upward into the velvet silence. Ahead, bathed in soft, celestial light, the majestic pillars of creation await your arrival. We hang suspended before these towering cathedrals of cold interstellar gas. Here, in the Eagle Nebula, columns of molecular hydrogen stretch light years across the dark. They are not solid rock, but ethereal veils of ancient stardust, shimmering with a soft infrared glow as they cradle the seeds of future suns. Gravity is the invisible conductor here, gently pulling gas and dust into dense pockets. These evaporating gaseous globules are tiny nurseries where matter settles in the deep cold. Within them, the pressure builds so slowly, over millions of years, mirroring the steady, rhythmic pulse of your own breath. Ultraviolet light from massive nearby stars acts like a soft, sculpting wind, smoothing the edges of these towering columns. You see hues of emerald hydrogen and crimson sulfur bleeding into the indigo void. This slow erosion is a masterpiece of light and shadow, unfolding across a timeline too vast for worry. Within the densest parts of the spire, microscopic grains of carbon and silicate dance in the darkness. Like frozen smoke, they collide with a gentle, silent persistence. In this quiet nursery, the friction of 1 trillion tiny particles generates a faint, comforting warmth. Shielded from the cold of outer space, the light from neighboring stellar giants brushes against the outer fringes, casting a soft blue luminescence. This process of photoevaporation happens so gradually it seems like a still life. You watch as individual photons, traveling for centuries, finally come to rest against the cool, dark blankets of hydrogen gas. Within the thickest heart of the pillars, the gas is impossibly cold and still. Here, hydrogen and helium swirl in slow, majestic eddies, driven by the softest tug of gravity. It is a glacial choreography, a silent, swirling dance that has lasted for eons and will continue for eons more. Invisible magnetic fields thread through the gas like silver looms, weaving a soft scaffolding within the clouds. These lines of force guide the drifting stardust, holding the columns in a state of quiet equilibrium. It is a gentle, unseen structure, cradling the nebula in a timeless, protective embrace. To our infrared eyes, the opaque dust becomes translucent, a misty veil revealing glowing embers within. These are protostars huddled in the dark. They pulse with a slow, steady warmth, drawing in the surrounding mist. Time here moves with the patience of a mountain, calm and utterly still. Blue oxygen glows at the edges where the heat is greatest. Deep within, the sulfur reds and hydrogen greens mingle like velvet shadows. This chemical tapestry is the breath of the cosmos, held in a long, silent pause. You are drifting through a cloud of potential light years wide. The vastness here is not empty, but filled with a quiet purpose. As you float, you notice the gentle rotation of the golden dust clouds a slow-motion whirlpool. Gravity acts not as a force, but as a soft whisper, coaxing the hydrogen into a rhythmic, eternal, and peaceful swirl. Light from distant elder stars filters through these gaseous spires like sunbeams through deep, still water. As it passes through the thickest curtains of dust, it softens, turning from a sharp white to a warm amber glow. You are wrapped in this filtered radiance, drifting in a silent, timeless sea. Look closer at the tips of the columns, where small, dark globules of gas break away like dew from a leaf. These are the beginnings of solar systems, cooling slowly in the shade of the spires. Every atom settles into place with a patient, unhurried grace, embracing the deep stillness. As these globules contract, they begin a slow, hypnotic spin. This rotation flattens the gas into a gentle, glowing disk, the cradle for a future world. You watch as matter drifts toward the center, a silent homecoming across the vast, dark emptiness, governed by the quiet laws of physics. The spires of gas stretch out for 4 light years, towering over the void. Inside these shadows, the temperature lingers just above absolute zero. This profound cold creates a unique stillness, where molecules move with a slow, deliberate purpose. It is a quiet sanctuary, shielded from the restless energy of the star. The top edges of the pillars are fringed with a shimmering light, where the intense radiation of nearby stars meets the dense gas. This creates a soft, glowing halo. Like mist rising from a valley at dawn, the gas slowly evaporates, drifting away into the velvet blackness of the surrounding space. Deep within the columns, the vibrant greens of hydrogen soften into a dusty, muted gold. The density increases, yet you feel only a profound lightness. Here, every atom moves in a slow, majestic orbit, a rhythmic pulse that echoes the quiet, steady pace of the universe's long, eternal clock. The light from the stellar cluster above casts long, silent shadows that stretch across the nebula floor. These dark rivers of cold gas are rich with ionized oxygen, glowing with a ghostly cyan luminescence. You drift alongside these shadows, feeling the subtle pull of cosmic tides moving with infinite patience. Amidst the cyan glow, microscopic particles of carbon and silicate collide with the gentlest touch. These tiny grains are the building blocks of planets, coated in thin layers of water ice. In the deep cold, they bond slowly, creating complex chains of matter in a silent, icy laboratory. Moving between the giant spires, you enter a corridor of deep space where the light of 1,000 newborn stars is softened by the mist. The deep reds of ionized sulfur wrap around you like a velvet cloak, while the silence of the vacuum offers a perfect weightless sanctuary. A gentle stream of high-energy radiation from the cluster's massive stars brushes against the gas. This stellar wind is invisible, yet its influence is profound, slowly sculpting the dust over millennia. You feel the soft, steady pressure, a celestial breath that shapes these clouds with the delicacy of a master artist. At the leading edge of the tallest pillar, a shimmering bow shock forms a silent, glowing ripple where stellar winds meet the dense gas. This radiant frontier protects the cooler interior, acting as a celestial harbor. Here, the energy of distant suns is tamed into a soft, golden, and eternal luminescence. Below the glowing edge, the density of the gas deepens. Here, molecules of hydrogen collide and stick, a slow accumulation called accretion. It is the rhythmic work of gravity, pulling speck to speck over eons. The colors shift into a deep, earthy bronze, illuminated by the internal heat of nesting stars. Now, we shift our vision to the infrared, where the once solid walls of dust become a translucent, ghostly mist. Behind the veil, newborn stars shine like distant lanterns. Their light filters through the molecular hydrogen, casting a warm amber glow that pulses with the slow, steady rhythm of the deep cosmos. Within these translucent spires, the protostars are shielded by dense, rotating disks of gas. These are the nurseries of planets, spinning with a prehistoric, unhurried grace. Heat spreads through the surrounding dust in slow, soft waves, a gentle radiance that sustains the long, patient birth of a solar system yet to come. As we drift further into the golden mist, we witness the silent migration of oxygen and sulfur. These elements spiral toward the core of the pillars, drawn by the quiet, unyielding call of gravity. This ancient rhythmic dance unfolds over millions of years, as if the universe itself were slowly breathing. The pillars are not uniform. They are layers of varying density, like shadows within shadows. As starlight filters through these thick curtains, it slows and scatters, bathing the interior in soft violets and indigo. Here, the laws of physics are a quiet lullaby, guiding every molecule into its perfect place. In these indigo depths, the temperature is so low that water vapor freezes onto tiny grains of silicate. These microscopic ice mantles shimmer with a faint crystalline light as they drift. Each collision is a quiet, rhythmic event, occurring over centuries in the deep, weightless stillness of the pillar's heart. As these icy grains coalesce, they form larger clumps, bound by the same gentle gravity that governs the stars. This patient accumulation is a silent promise of future worlds. You watch them drift in rhythmic, circular paths, tracing the invisible curves of a newborn solar system's long gravitational embrace. At the tips of these giant fingers, small dark knots of gas remain sheltered from the eroding winds. These dense globules are the final sanctuaries where the density is greatest. Here, the universe works in secret, slowly condensing the mist into a point of heat, hidden within a cool velvet shell. Gravity's pull becomes a steady embrace within these dense knots. Hydrogen atoms huddle closer, their slow collisions releasing a soft infrared warmth. This thermal glow permeates the dark, a gentle pulse of energy shielded from the void. Thousands of years pass in what feels like a single, peaceful breath. The light from the cluster above is a rhythmic tide, washing over the outer edges. It excites the hydrogen, creating a deep resonant red that blankets the spires. This glow is soft like a fading sunset, marking the boundary where the dense matter meets the infinite, comforting dark of the nebula. These rivers of cold gas are laced with carbon, absorbing the light of distant stars to create pockets of absolute velvet. It is within these deep shadows that the universe stores its quietest secrets, held in a state of perfect preservation. You float here, enveloped in a darkness that is thick, soft, and profoundly calm. From the edge of these shadows, a soft cyan glow emerges. It is the signature of ionized oxygen, reacting to the distant, brilliant heat of young stars. The light doesn't strike. It caresses, flowing around the edges of the dust in a slow, luminous tide that lasts for centuries. This soft radiance filters deeper into the pillar's heart, where the cold is absolute. It touches dormant hydrogen molecules which respond with a slow, rhythmic vibration. In this weightless sanctuary, energy is transformed into a gentle infrared warmth, a silent glow that sustains the long, patient dream of creation. Every helium atom and hydrogen molecule moves with a deliberate, rhythmic grace. They are caught in a slow-motion whirlpool, a gravitational ballet that spans light years. In this tranquil corridor of space, time itself seems to dilate, allowing you to drift peacefully within the repetitive, eternal clockwork of the cosmos. The light from massive, distant stars brushes against the columns, exciting nitrogen into a faint crimson luminescence. This soft color blends with the emerald green of hydrogen, creating a celestial tapestry of light. You are witnessing the slow, rhythmic redistribution of energy a cooling, silent breath across the molecular void. Starlight reaching the dense heart of these pillars has traveled for millennia. Upon meeting the thick curtains of silicate dust, it scatters into a soft golden haze. You drift through this warm amber light, enveloped in the weightless stillness of a nursery, where the very passage of time slowed. At the core of these amber mists, gravity performs its most delicate work. Molecules of hydrogen are drawn into dense, rotating spheres that hold the heat of future suns. You feel the soft, steady pulse of this contraction, a slow-motion condensation that turns simple gas into the foundation of life. The edges of the pillars are lined with a cyan glow, where ionized oxygen meets the soft pressure of stellar wind. This light doesn't burn. It hums with a quiet energy, flowing around the dense gas like a slow-motion river. You are suspended in this luminous, cooling flow, utterly still. Within these gaseous corridors, molecules of carbon and water ice drift like microscopic snowflakes. They are the silent architects of future worlds, colliding with a gentle, rhythmic persistence. In this weightless sanctuary, the slow dance of matter continues, weaving a tapestry of potential within the cool, dark blankets of the nebula. Invisible threads of magnetic force weave through the dense hydrogen, acting like a silent scaffolding. These lines of energy guide the drifting ions in a slow, rhythmic spiral, preventing the pillars from dissolving into the void. You are cradled within this magnetic silk, moving with the patient heartbeat of the galaxy. The intense light from the cluster's young stars washes over the pillar tips, creating a soft blue luminescence. This light doesn't just illuminate, it slowly pushes against the cold gas, an ancient rhythmic pressure. You observe the gas trailing away like mist, a silent evaporation into the deep, welcoming void. As we move deeper into the pillar's shadow, the blue light fades, replaced by a deep, resonant bronze. The thick silicate dust acts as a filter, allowing only the longest wavelengths of light to pass through. You are drifting in a warm, sepia-toned void where time has no meaning. Within this bronze silence, the pressure of gravity is so light, it feels like an embrace. Molecules of hydrogen find one another, bonding in the dark to form dense, glowing hearts. This is the slow gestation of stars, a process that takes millions of years, unfolding in perfect rhythmic peace. The light from distant suns brushes against the pillar's edge, creating a soft blue luminescence. This photo-evaporation is so gradual it feels like the mountain-sized clouds are simply breathing. You watch as gas drifts away, a silent trail of stardust, returning to the vast, comforting void of the nebula. The colors here are a silent tapestry: teal, oxygen, emerald, hydrogen, and velvet red sulfur. They do not swirl so much as breathe, shifting with a patience that spans centuries. This slow mixing is the rhythmic pulse of the nebula, a graceful blending of elements, waiting for their turn to become new worlds. Gravity's hand is light here, pulling microscopic grains of silicate and frozen ice into tiny, swirling dancers. They coalesce with a patient, unhurried grace, forming the seeds of planets over millions of years. In this cold, quiet cradle, you feel the weightless beauty of the universe building something new, atom by atom. Through the translucent mist of these towering pillars, newborn stars glow like distant hearths. Their light is filtered by thick molecular curtains, casting a soft golden radiance that warms the surrounding cove. You are drifting in a timeless nursery, where every atom moves with a slow, rhythmic, and deliberate grace. These towering spires exist in a state of delicate cosmic poise. Inward, gravity tugs with a persistent hand, Outward, the warmth of distant suns pushes back. This quiet struggle is a slow-motion breath, a rhythmic equilibrium that keeps the pillars standing tall within the infinite, velvet dark of the nebula. Deep within the second spire, magnetic fields thread through the cold gas like invisible looms, guiding the flow of ionized particles. You are suspended in this silent architecture, feeling the slow, steady hum of the universe's clockwork. Each molecule moves with a purpose, governed by the patient laws of physics. The light of distant, massive suns filters through these magnetic lanes, exciting the oxygen into a ghostly cyan glow. This ethereal light doesn't vibrate with heat, but hums with a profound, cooling stillness. You are drifting through a cloud of cold fire, where every atom is slowly coming to rest. The silicate grains, tiny and ancient, absorb the energy of newborn suns. They do not merely reflect this light, they hold it, breathing it back out as a soft, infrared glow. This is the thermal heartbeat of the pillar, a slow, repetitive exchange that fills the void with a comforting, unseen warmth. Gravity guides these grains into slow, sweeping orbits. Within the column's dense heart, movement is so gradual it feels like total stillness. Every rotation spans millennia, a patient, rhythmic cycle that mirrors the steady, calming pulse of the sleeping universe. You are part of this infinite, weightless drift. These towering columns are vast reservoirs of molecular hydrogen and helium, enriched by the dust of ancient, vanished suns. You witness a slow-motion rain of atoms falling toward the center of the spire. It is a quiet, persistent descent, a rhythmic gathering of matter that has continued since the dawn of time. As this matter gathers, the surrounding light filters through layers of neon blue oxygen and emerald green hydrogen. It softens, reaching the dense core as a gentle, low-energy glow. You are immersed in a luminous, cooling mist, where the clockwork of the universe moves with eternal, rhythmic, and peaceful precision. At the tips of these great fingers, small, dark globules of gas break away like shadows. These are the nurseries where the density is highest. Here, the universe works in absolute secret, slowly condensing the mist into points of warmth, shielded from the void by a cool, protective velvet. Inside these velvet cocoons, gravity's gentle tug becomes a steady pulse. Dust and gas spin in a slow, rhythmic rotation, flattening into shimmering disks that glow with a faint, infrared heat. Every millimeter of movement is measured in centuries, a patient, celestial gathering that feels weightless and profoundly calm. As the light of young stars scatters through these dense curtains, it shifts into a gentle, rhythmic pulsation. You observe the slow dance of photons bouncing between grains of ice and carbon, a luminous heartbeat that fills the towers with a soft, swaying radiance, timeless and perfectly at rest. Deep within the column's core, microscopic grains of carbon drift in the velvet dark. They are the seeds of rocky planets, colliding with a gentle, rhythmic persistence. Each touch is a silent, weightless event, occurring over centuries in the cool, infrared glow that permeates this ancient, celestial nursery. The pillars themselves turn with a glacial, imperceptible grace. This slow-motion rotation draws the colder gas into tight, rhythmic spirals. You watch as the light from nearby stars catches the edges of these swirls, creating a soft, shifting halo of teal and gold that pulses with a timeless, quiet energy. Within this glow, ionized sulfur radiates a deep, velvet red. This light moves in long, slow waves, bathing the pillars in a warmth that feels like a soft embrace. You are drifting through a sea of cooling atoms, each one settling into the eternal rhythmic silence of the nebula. The pillars exist in a delicate cosmic balance. Inward, the soft tug of gravity pulls. Outward, the gentle pressure of starlight pushes back. It is a slow, rhythmic equilibrium that has held these towers for eon. You are suspended in this stillness, drifting within the universe's quiet, steady heartbeat. High-energy ultraviolet light from nearby massive stars warms the surface of these pillars. Instead of burning, the gas flows away in a gentle, luminous stream. You drift along this shimmering frontier, watching stardust evaporate with rhythmic, eons-long patience, returning gracefully to the cool, dark, and silent velvet of the void. Deep within these dusty spires, our infrared gaze reveals hidden nurseries, small, dense knots of gas huddled together, shielded from the harsh light of distant stars. Here, hydrogen and helium molecules settle into slow, rhythmic orbits, cradled by the profound cold and the silent, weightless embrace of the ancient nebula. Within these dense knots, the gas begins to revolve. A flat disk of dust forms around a growing center, spinning with glacial patience. You watch as matter spirals inward, a rhythmic, silent descent toward the heart of a future sun, all bathed in a soft, golden, and eternal warmth. Around this central warmth, microscopic grains of carbon and silica drift like slow-moving stars. Each particle is coated in a thin mantle of water ice, shimmering in the infrared glow. They collide with a rhythmic, silent persistence, gathering mass in the weightless dark, weaving the very fabric of future planet. The pillars cast shadows across the nebula, not of darkness, but of deep, cool blues. Within these silhouettes, oxygen settles in a quiet, cyan mist. You drift through this blue corridor, watching as light from distant suns is softened by the dust, turning the vacuum into a translucent, glowing cathedral. Beyond the blue, the deeper layers of sulfur resonate with a soft crimson glow. These gases are not stationary. They are part of a slow, grand circulation, moving like a deep ocean current across light years. You are floating within this rhythmic tide, perfectly supported by the infinite silent void. The brilliant star cluster above casts long, silent rays through the gaps between the pillars. These beams of light illuminate the floating dust, turning the vacuum into a shimmering haze of gold. You are weightless, watching the light dance in slow motion against the ancient dark walls of the cosmic nursery. Within this golden haze, each mote of dust follows a path dictated by the softest gravitational pull. These particles drift in slow, sweeping arcs, tracing the geometry of space. It is a quiet, repetitive motion, a cosmic clock ticking in centuries, filling the pillars with a sense of eternal rhythmic order. The boundaries between these gas layers are soft and blurred, like ink in water. Hydrogen's emerald light fades into the deep crimson of sulfur as the gas slowly cools. You are suspended in this transition, watching as colors bleed together in a silent, rhythmic exchange that defines these majestic pillars. Gravity acts as a soft, invisible blanket, gathering stray atoms into dense pockets of potential. These regions, dark and cool, are the quietest places in the nebula. You float beside them, noticing the rhythmic inward drift of stardust, a slow accumulation that prepares the universe for its next great act. At the base of the central pillar, the dust is thickest, absorbing almost all visible light. Here, the temperature remains steady, just above absolute zero. You are enveloped in this cool, silent sanctuary, watching as long-wave radiation filters through like a faint, rhythmic pulse of soft amber warmth. The dense trunks of these spires act like celestial filters, scattering starlight into a pervasive golden hum. You watch individual photons weave through the silicates, their energy dampened and gentle. This slow-motion scattering is the rhythmic breath of a nebula that knows no hurry, only deep, silent peace and time. Here, the chemistry of the void works with glacial patience. Carbon molecules link with oxygen, forming complex chains that drift through the velvet dark. This invisible weaving is a rhythmic, silent process unfolding over millennia. You are a weightless witness to the cold chemical dance that builds the foundations of life. High-energy ultraviolet light from neighboring giants continues to sculpt the pillar's exterior. This photoevaporation is a silent, rhythmic erosion, turning dense gas into ethereal trails of mist. You watch as the light shears the edges, creating a glowing, violet fringe that drifts peacefully into the surrounding, weightless dark of the nebula. Deeper inside, the infrared radiance reveals a different world. The pillars glow with a soft internal heat. This warmth moves through the gas in slow ripples, like waves on a distant shore. It is a rhythmic, silent pulse, nourishing the young stars tucked within their protective velvet blankets. Around these nesting suns, gravity's hum guides the gas into a slow, rhythmic whirlpool. This is the accretion disk, a shimmering carousel of molecular hydrogen and dust. Every rotation is a silent, glacial breath, as matter spirals inward with a patient grace, destined to become the foundation of light and life. The emerald glow of hydrogen and the deep crimson of sulfur swirl in slow motion, merging at the edges of these accretion disks. Light from the cluster above filters through these gaseous layers, turning the dark vacuum into a translucent, glowing sea. Every movement is a rhythmic, eternal pause in the void. Within this glowing sea, microscopic silicate grains act as tiny prisms, scattering the light into a soft, golden haze. Each grain follows a rhythmic, slow-motion orbit, guided by the silent tug of gravity. You are floating in this luminous dust, where time expands into a peaceful, eternal, and weightless stillness. Behind the golden haze, the pillar's cold heart harbors dense knots of gas. These are the nurseries, where gravity's light touch pulls hydrogen atoms into a slow, rhythmic embrace. Within these dark pockets, the pressure builds with glacial patience, preparing a soft infrared glow for the suns of the distant future. Light from the cluster above strikes the leading edges of the pillars, creating a shimmering bow shock. This radiant ripple protects the cooler gas within, like a quiet harbor wall. You watch as energized particles flow around the spire in a slow, luminous tide, moving with a rhythmic, prehistoric grace. Within this celestial harbor, the pressure of starlight fades, leaving only a profound, silent stillness. Molecular hydrogen drifts in slow, weightless patterns, undisturbed by the winds outside. You are part of this quiet descent, falling with a rhythmic, glacial pace toward the cool, dark heart of the ancient spire. In the dense heart of the trunk, the gas turns from emerald to a deep, resonant violet. Tiny, dark knots of matter detach themselves like silent shadows. They rotate with glacial patience, each one a private nursery, cradled in the rhythmic, weightless stillness of the infinite and comforting void. As we peer into these dark knots with infrared eyes, the opaque dust becomes a translucent veil, Inside, the glowing embers of protostars pulse with a slow internal heat. This warmth radiates through the cold hydrogen in soft, rhythmic waves, a silent lullaby for the suns yet to be born. Around these glowing cores, matter flattens into wide, rotating disks of dust and ice. This carousel of creation spins with a rhythmic, prehistoric grace, undisturbed by the passage of eon. You watch as microscopic silicates collide and merge, a slow, patient weaving of worlds within the cool, velvet shadows. Light from the cluster's elder stars filters through these nascent disks, turning the dust into a translucent golden mist. Oxygen atoms glow with a faint, rhythmic cyan. You drift along the edge of this luminous river, watching as the universe breathes with the slow, steady persistence of 1 billion years. Invisible magnetic fields thread through this cyan mist, guiding ionized particles in a slow, rhythmic dance. These lines of force act like a silent scaffolding, holding the massive pillars in a state of eternal poise. You move along these silver threads, feeling the weightless stability of the universe's quiet architecture. We have reached the silent heart of the central pillar, where the density is a comforting weight. Here, molecular hydrogen vibrates with a low, rhythmic resonance. Shielded from the harsh, ultraviolet winds outside, you are wrapped in a thick emerald silence, drifting through the very breath of the sleeping cosmos. Within this emerald haze, we encounter traces of nitrogen, glowing with a soft crimson light. It settles alongside the green in a slow-motion dance. You watch as individual photons, slowed by the dust, bounce gently between the cooling molecules, creating a rhythmic, shimmering warmth in the weightless, silent dark. The entire towering structure ripples with a slow, majestic resonance, like a soft chord held for eon. Waves of energy from distant suns wash over the gas, causing it to vibrate at a frequency too deep to hear, but felt in the steady, rhythmic pulse of the swirling stardust. This rhythmic pulse guides the light as it seeps into the densest pockets. The photons move like thick honey, slowing down as they encounter curtains of silicate dust. In this viscous, amber light, the molecules of hydrogen settle with a patient grace, embracing the eternal, cooling stillness of the deep. In this profound stillness, gravity works its most patient magic. Microscopic grains of carbon and silicate, wrapped in icy blankets, find one another in the dark. They bond with a slow, rhythmic touch, a silent accumulation that builds the foundation of rocky worlds over immense, unhurried timescale. As the core of a new star begins to stir, it releases its first soft breath of heat. This infrared energy ripples outward, a slow expansion against the cool hydrogen walls. You are watching the rhythmic exchange of temperature, a quiet, prehistoric pulse that sustains the long, patient birth of light. The surrounding hydrogen responds to this internal glow, shimmering in a pale emerald hue. This light is steady, a rhythmic beacon in the deep cold. Outside the nursery, towering clouds of sulfur and oxygen drift in the weightless dark, their slow-motion eddies turning with the quiet precision of a celestial clock. Beyond the emerald nurseries, ionized oxygen creates a ghostly cyan veil, stretching for light years. This light is a soft signature of the universe's slow alchemy, blending perfectly with the velvet dark. You are floating in this transition, watching colors bleed together with the rhythmic patience of a timeless cosmic sea. The ultraviolet light from distant, massive stars continues to brush against the outer edges of these misty fingers. It creates a gilded outline, a soft shimmer of blue and violet. You watch as the gas slowly evaporates, a rhythmic, silent transformation that returns ancient stardust to the infinite, weightless deep. Behind this glowing fringe, the pillars cast long, silent shadows. These are not empty voids, but dense reservoirs of cold molecular gas, thick enough to shield the interior from the cluster's heat. You drift into this cool sanctuary, feeling the rhythmic, slow-motion pull of gravity's steady, unseen hand. Within this deep sanctuary, infrared light reveals the pillars as translucent veils of gold. You see newborn stars huddled like warm embers in the cold. Gravity continues its glacial work, pulling gas into slow, rhythmic spirals. Here, the weightless silence is a cradle for the sons of tomorrow. Around these glowing embers, vast disks of dust and ice spin with a patient, unhurried grace. Gravity's gentle pull acts as an invisible hand, guiding every grain into a perfect rhythmic orbit. You are observing the slow-motion architecture of a solar system, unfolding across the deep, weightless silence of the void. Light filtering through these dense nurseries reveals a tapestry of ionized oxygen and hydrogen. The cyan and green mists mingle with a patient, unhurried grace. As you drift, you feel the soft resonance of the nebula, a rhythmic, cooling hum that echoes through the weightless corridors of this celestial cathedral. Microscopic silicates, coated in delicate ice mantles, collide with the rhythmic, silent persistence. In this deep cold, they bond slowly, weaving the foundations of terrestrial worlds over millions of years. You drift amidst this icy dust, watching as light from newborn suns scatters in a soft, eternal, and weightless haze. Invisible magnetic fields thread through this shimmering dust, acting like a silent, silver loom. They guide the flow of ionized particles in a slow, rhythmic spiral, holding the towering pillars in a state of eternal poise. You are drifting along these threads, feeling the profound stability of the universe's quiet architecture. The relentless but gentle ultraviolet radiation from nearby stellar giants brushes against the outer fringes of the spires. It creates a shimmering violet halo as the top layers of gas slowly evaporate. You watch this silent, rhythmic dissolution, a graceful return of ancient matter to the warm, comforting void. We glide through layers of ionized sulfur, glowing with a rich velvet crimson. This light moves in long, slow waves, warming the surrounding molecular hydrogen. Every collision between atoms is a quiet, rhythmic event, occurring over centuries in the deep, weightless stillness of this ancient, celestial mountain of stardust. The space between the columns is a harbor of absolute calm. Here, the vacuum is a soft, translucent blue, where stray atoms of helium drift like dust motes in a sunbeam. You are weightless, swaying with the slow, rhythmic tides of a galaxy that moves with infinite, silent patience. Within the densest pillars, the light of newborn suns is a muffled gold. Every molecule of hydrogen settles into a rhythmic, cooling orbit, weaving through curtains of silicate dust. In this weightless sanctuary, the universe holds its breath, moving with the patient, steady heartbeat of creation across the silent void. At the fringes of these gold-lit corridors, the gas thins into a translucent mist. Here, ionized nitrogen emits a faint crimson glow that pulses slowly, mirroring the rhythmic rise and fall of a deep exhale. This light travels across light years, touching the cold silicates with a gentle, patient warmth. Within this crimson haze, gravity's gentle tug guides hydrogen atoms into slow, rhythmic spirals. They move with the patience of centuries, gathering into dense, glowing knots. Here, in the heart of the pillar, the universe is weaving its silent tapestry, preparing the seeds of light in the weightless dark. As we watch, the intense ultraviolet glow from nearby stellar giants continues to brush against the outer fringes. It creates a shimmering violet halo where the gas slowly dissolves into the void. This rhythmic evaporation is a graceful return of ancient matter to the warm, comforting, and weightless deep. Beneath the evaporating fringe, the trunk of the pillar remains dark and cool. Here, molecular hydrogen settles into a rhythmic, slow-motion pulse. You are drifting through a corridor of ancient silicates where the light of 1,000 distant stars is softened into a pervasive, golden, and comforting glow. Light from newborn stars within the pillars scatters against microscopic dust grains, turning the dark interiors into a soft, amber fog. You move through this luminous mist, watching as individual photons drift and collide in a slow, rhythmic dance. Here, the weightless silence of the void is your only companion. In these golden depths, gravity's softest pull guides heavy atoms of sulfur into a rhythmic, swirling embrace. These dark rivers of cold gas take millions of years to settle, moving with a patience that transcends all human time. You are floating in this velvet dark, weightless and utterly at peace. Ionized oxygen bleeds into the edges of the emerald hydrogen clouds, creating a ghostly teal mist. This luminescence is steady and cool, casting soft shadows across the pillars. You watch as light from newborn stars ripples through the gas, a rhythmic, silent pulse that has echoed for 10,000 years. Within this ancient rhythm, the pillars stand as sentinels in the dark. Gravity continues its slow, patient work, coaxing molecules into closer orbit. You are suspended in this weightless corridor, watching as the light of distant stars turns the gas into a soft, translucent veil of emerald and gold. Within this veil, microscopic grains of silicate and carbon drift, each a tiny prism catching the light. Coated in mantles of ice, they shimmer with a soft, silvery radiance. Their collisions are rhythmic and silent, a glacial accumulation that weaves the ancient stardust into the seeds of newborn worlds. The newborn stars, deep within these spires, radiate a warmth that travels in long, infrared waves. This energy doesn't disturb the cold. It simply illuminates the dust from within, turning the opaque clouds into ghostly, glowing skeletons. You are drifting through this skeletal light, weightless in the universe's ancient nursery. Above the nesting suns, rhythmic jets of gas vent excess energy into the void. These bipolar outflows stretch light years into the dark, pulsing with a slow, glacial frequency. You watch these silent beacons of growth, cradled by the steady, calming rotation of the entire nebula in this eternal, weightless dream. The layers of gas mix with a patient, unhurried grace. Emerald hydrogen blends into the deep crimson of ionized sulfur, creating a velvet tapestry light years wide. As you drift, you watch the starlight filter through these curtains, a slow, rhythmic scatter that fills the silent void with a soft, golden radiance. Oxygen's signature is a ghostly cyan, glowing faintly against the darker trunk. This soft luminescence travels in long, rhythmic waves, reflecting off microscopic carbon grains. You are suspended in this blue corridor, watching the light scatter with a slow, glacial patience, governed by the silent laws of the void. Gravity's soft hand pulls molecules closer, a slow-motion gathering of potential. Within these dense centers, the subtle friction of atoms creates a faint, infrared warmth. This rhythmic condensation is a silent, weightless pulse, weaving the fabric of future suns into the cool, dark blankets of the ancient nebula. The ultraviolet glow from distant suns continues to sculpt these towering spires with a rhythmic glacial persistence. You watch as top layers of hydrogen evaporate, trailing away like a slow-motion mist into the velvet dark. In this weightless harbor, the universe breathes, and you drift within its silent, eternal embrace. Peering through the infrared mist, we see the flattened disks of matter surrounding young stars. These carousels of ice and dust spin with a patient, unhurried grace. Every rotation is a silent, rhythmic promise of future worlds, held together by the gentle, invisible threads of gravity in this weightless sanctuary. These long, dark silhouettes are dense sanctuaries, shielding the interior from the brilliant cluster above. Within this cool shade, the temperature remains a constant, quiet baseline for growth. You drift through the darkness, watching as the slow, rhythmic pull of gravity gathers cosmic dust into silent, new potential. In this weightless corridor, the pillars act as a cosmic loom. Invisible magnetic fields guide ionized particles in slow, rhythmic spirals. You drift among these silver threads, watching as colors bleed together with the patient grace of a timeless sea, perfectly cradled within the infinite, silent dark of the void. Within this silver loom, microscopic silicate grains drift like frozen smoke. Coated in ancient ice, they shimmer as they catch the distant starlight, scattering it into a soft golden haze. Every grain follows a rhythmic, slow-motion path, contributing to the silent, weightless growth of this celestial cathedral of stardust. As these icy grains cluster, they grow heavy with the weight of centuries. Gravity's whisper draws them into a dense, rotating heart, where the cold begins to yield to a faint, infrared warmth. You are drifting through this soft transformation, a witness to the rhythmic, silent labor of the newborn stars. This infrared warmth seeps into the surrounding hydrogen, awakening a soft, emerald luminescence. It casts long, silent shadows of cyan oxygen against the trunk's ancient walls. You are drifting through this glowing corridor, swaying with the rhythmic tides of a nebula that moves with infinite, weightless patience. The edges of these towering spires are sculpted by a soft, persistent wind of starlight. This radiation pressure acts as a gentle, rhythmic push against the cool gas. You watch as individual atoms are nudged into the void, a silent evaporation that keeps the pillars in a state of eternal, weightless flux. As these stray atoms drift, they carry the signature of ionized sulfur, glowing with a deep, velvet red. This color bleeds into the surrounding void, forming long, soft trails of light that pulse with a rhythmic, glacial persistence. You are weightless, drifting within this ancient, silent stream of cooling stardust. Light from the cluster's young stars takes years to travel from one pillar to the next. You watch this slow-motion transit, a rhythmic bridge of photons spanning the velvet gap. Each beam is softened by the thin hydrogen mist, turning the void into a translucent, glowing harbor of silent, eternal peace. Within the dense trunks of these spires, infrared light reveals nested pockets of warmth. These points of light are wrapped in cold blankets of molecular hydrogen. You observe the rhythmic condensation of gas, a slow gathering of matter that continues with glacial patience, undisturbed by the vast, weightless silence around you. Gravity acts as a silent weaver here, drawing microscopic silicate grains into slow, rhythmic carousels. These potential building blocks of rocky worlds rotate with a prehistoric grace, undisturbed by the passage of millennia. You drift amidst this icy dust, watching as light from newborn suns scatters in a soft, eternal haze. At the fingertips of these colossal structures, small, dense knots of gas break free like droplets of rain. These evaporating gaseous globules remain cold and still, shielded from the ultraviolet winds by their own density. Here, time is a slow, rhythmic ocean of silent, weightless potential and deep, cooling peace. Inside these cool envelopes, the tug of gravity is a steady, rhythmic pulse. Hydrogen atoms huddle together, their slow collisions generating a faint, infrared warmth that permeates the dark. You are observing the quietest moment of creation, where time stretches thin and the weightless silence of the nebula becomes a comforting blanket. The colors here are a silent symphony: teal, oxygen, and emerald hydrogen swirling in slow motion. This luminescence travels in long, rhythmic waves, bathing the pillars in a soft, cooling glow. You are suspended in this transition, watching colors bleed together with the patient grace of a timeless cosmic sea. Within the pillar's shadow, ionized sulfur emits a deep bronze radiance. This light doesn't scatter, it flows in long, slow waves, warming the surrounding molecular hydrogen. You are suspended in this rhythmic tide, watching as the universe breathes with the quiet, steady persistence of 1 billion years. Invisible magnetic fields thread through this bronze radiance, acting like a silent scaffolding. They guide the orientation of microscopic dust grains, aligning them in a slow, rhythmic dance across the light years. You are part of this silent structure, drifting through a universe that builds its masterpieces with infinite, weightless care. The pillars now appear as silhouettes against the brilliance of the outer cluster. Within these dark trunks, infrared vision reveals the dense knots where gravity slowly folds gas into newborn sun. This rhythmic collapse spans millions of years, a patient, silent gathering of matter in the weightless deep of space. The pillars resonate with a low-frequency hum, the vibration of massive gas clouds interacting with the stellar wind. This subtle energy ripples through layers of nitrogen and helium. You are drifting through this invisible sea, feeling the rhythmic, steady pulse of the nebula as it breathes within the comforting dark. As starlight penetrates these vibrating layers, it scatters into 1,000 soft liquid rays. Every photon is nudged by the dense silicate dust, slowing its ancient journey. You watch as light pools in the crevices of the pillars, creating velvet shadows that shift with the glacial rhythm of the eons. Within these shifting shadows, molecules of cold gas collide with the softest touch. This silent gathering of hydrogen atoms creates a subtle gravitational rain, falling slowly toward the pillar's heart. You are weightless, swaying with this rhythmic descent, enveloped by the cooling velvet embrace of a universe that never rushes. In this sanctuary, infrared light from newborn suns filters through like soft firelight. You watch individual photons weave through the silicates, their energy dampened and gentled by prehistoric curtains of dust. This is the slow-motion clockwork of the cosmos, ticking in heartbeats that span 1,000 human years. The molecular hydrogen around you settles in a slow, rhythmic ebb and flow, guided by the soft pressure of distant suns. You watch the cyan glow of ionized oxygen mix with deep crimson sulfur, a liquid light moving through the vacuum. Time here expands, as heavy as stardust, and as light as a dream. In the shadows of these columns, microscopic ice crystals form upon grains of ancient carbon. These tiny prisms catch the internal heat of the nebula, glowing with a soft silver light. Each collision is a quiet, rhythmic event, adding to the patient, silent building of future worlds within the void. The silver radiance from these crystals mirrors the slow, steady birth of protostars nestled deep within. Surrounding them, molecular gas revolves in a grand, unhurried orbit. You watch as waves of gravity nudge the dust into place, a silent, rhythmic architecture standing for eons within the infinite, comforting dark of space. At the summits of these towering columns, the ultraviolet winds of nearby stars continue their silent sculpting. This gentle, rhythmic erosion shears away thin veils of gas, trailing them like soft cyan smoke into the void. You are floating in this luminous wake, watching the ancient stardust return to the weightless deep. Gravity's hand is light yet persistent, gathering stray atoms of carbon and nitrogen into slow-moving eddies. These rivers of cold gas flow within the pillars like a deep, silent tide. You are suspended in this emerald current, feeling the weightless rhythm of a universe that rebuilds itself across vast eons. Within the dense emerald heart of the spire, hydrogen molecules drift in perfect, weightless harmony. You are floating through a corridor of cold molecular gas, where time slows to a rhythmic, ancient pulse. Every particle of dust settles into the silent, eternal architecture of the cosmos, governed by the patient laws of physics. The light of distant, massive suns reaches these emerald depths, scattered by curtains of ancient silicate dust. It settles into a soft, amber haze that warms the surrounding cold. You are suspended in this liquid light, watching as individual photons drift through the void with a patient, rhythmic grace. Gravity whispers to the dense knots of hydrogen, coaxing them into a slow, rhythmic rotation. Within these cold nurseries, the seeds of stars condense with glacial patience. You are drifting through this silent gathering, watching as the weightless dust settles into a perfect eternal balance amidst the emerald and amber light. Beyond the emerald glow, a ghostly cyan mist of ionized oxygen drifts in slow-motion currents. This cool luminescence travels across the light years like a silent tide. You are suspended in this radiant flow, watching the rhythmic dance of atoms as they settle into the universe's patient, eternal clockwork. From the hearts of these nurseries, thin jets of gas stream into the void bipolar outflows that act as the rhythmic breath of infant stars. They stretch for light years in a silent, slow-motion pulse, creating gentle ripples in the emerald dust as the entire nebula continues its grand, eternal rotation. As these stellar jets brush against thick curtains of gas, they illuminate the pillar's deep red sulfur. The light doesn't strike. It flows like a slow, glowing river around the dark silhouettes of dust. You are weightless, watching the rhythmic play of shadow and luminescence across the infinite, comforting void. In the deep chill of the pillar's interior, silicates and carbon grains act as anchors for ice. They drift through the dark like microscopic embers, colliding with a soft, rhythmic touch. Over millions of years, these tiny bonds grow, forming the heavy hearts of worlds that will one day turn. You are drifting in the prehistoric clockwork of the void. Background starlight filters through the pillar's edges, creating a soft, golden fringe that moves with glacial patience. Every molecule of gas participates in this slow, rhythmic migration, a silent homecoming within the velvet dark of the ancient nursery. The intense light from nearby giants is more than a glow. It is a soft, physical presence. Like water carving stone, This radiant pressure pushes against the pillars, thinning the gas into elegant flowing spires. You watch this rhythmic sculpting, an ancient, silent process unfolding across the infinite, weightless dark. Inside this carved interior, the emerald light of hydrogen softens into a muted gold. Molecular gas swirls in slow-motion eddies. Governed by the rhythmic tug of an unseen core, you are suspended in this golden haze, watching as photons drift through the void with the patient grace of a timeless sea. As we drift toward the base of the central spire, the gas density thickens. Here, the deep reds of sulfur mix with a ghostly cyan glow. Every atom moves in a slow, circular path, guided by the rhythmic pull of gravity. It is a timeless dance of weightless, silent potential. Gravity's influence here is a slow, rhythmic pull, drawing carbon atoms into dense, dark pockets. Shielded from the cluster's glare, these regions cool with a patient, unhurried grace. You watch as light ripples through the thick gas in waves that take centuries to unfold. A silent, weightless pulse in the dark. The starlight you witness is a traveler from the distant past, slowed and softened by the pillar's thick molecular walls. It bathes the silicates in a gentle, amber radiance, revealing the rhythmic gathering of matter. You drift through this ancient glow, a silent observer of the universe's long memory. Within this ancient glow, small, dense cores begin to rotate with a rhythmic glacial precision. Around them, microscopic grains of water ice and carbon spiral inward, drawn by a soft gravitational pull. You watch as these nascent disks flatten and turn, a slow, silent choreography occurring in the weightless dark. The heat from these emerging suns seeps through the dense curtains of hydrogen, radiating in long, slow waves. This infrared warmth acts as a soft pulse, illuminating the pillar's interior with a liquid, amber light. You are suspended in this glowing mist, watching as time itself dilates into silent eternity. Beyond the amber mist, ionized nitrogen glows with a soft crimson light. This color bleeds into the deep shadows of the pillar. Moving in long, slow waves, you are drifting in this transition, watching the colors of the nebula mix with the rhythmic patience of a timeless, weightless ocean current. High-energy radiation from nearby stellar giants continues to brush against the outer reaches of the nebula. It creates a shimmering violet shockwave where the gas slowly dissolves into the void. You watch this silent, rhythmic evaporation, a graceful return of ancient matter to the warm, comforting, and weightless deep stone. We hang suspended in a corridor of emerald hydrogen, where the silence is as vast as the nebula itself. Gravity's light touch guides every molecule in a slow, rhythmic orbit. You watch as light from distant suns turns the dust into a soft, translucent veil of ancient golden peace. Within this emerald corridor, faint traces of oxygen glow in ghostly cyan. This luminescence travels in long, rhythmic waves across the light years. You watch as individual atoms collide with a soft, silent touch, governed by the patient laws of a universe that rebuilds itself with infinite, weightless care. In the heart of the pillar, gravity's pull becomes a rhythmic invitation. Heavy grains of carbon gather into flattened, rotating disks, the birthplaces of future worlds. They spin with a patient, unhurried grace, catching the infrared glow of newborn suns in a silent, golden carousel that lasts for eons. The edges of these ancient towers are fringed with violet light, where the intense radiation of nearby stars meets the cooling hydrogen. It is a slow, rhythmic exhale of matter a silent evaporation that carries stardust away into the velvet dark, returning it to the infinite weightless embrace of space. Below this shimmering fringe, the dense heart of the trunk remains still. Here the deep crimson of ionized sulfur wraps around you like velvet. Each molecule moves in a slow, rhythmic spiral, guided by the soft, invisible hand of gravity into the patient, weightless dark of the ancient nebula. Light from distant suns filters through these dense, silicate curtains, scattering into a pervasive golden haze. It moves like thick honey, slowing down as it encounters the cooling hydrogen. You are suspended in this liquid light, watching the rhythmic dance of ancient photons as they settle into the weightless dark. Within this golden haze, microscopic grains of carbon gather thin mantles of water ice. They drift like frozen smoke, colliding with a gentle, rhythmic persistence. In the profound cold of the pillars, this cosmic chemistry proceeds with a patient grace, weaving the silent, icy foundations of future oceans and worlds. Silent magnetic currents weave through the nebula, directing the path of drifting ions in gentle, sweeping arcs. This unseen architecture maintains the pillar's majestic shape against the pressure of the stars. You are cradled within this magnetic embrace, moving with the patient, rhythmic heartbeat of the galaxy's long, quiet night. The emerald light of hydrogen begins to dim, replaced by the profound, cooling blue of the deep nebula. In this twilight of creation, molecules of helium drift in a slow-motion dance, tracing the invisible curves of space. You are a weightless spark, floating within the universe's quiet, eternal clockwork. As the pillars fade into soft silhouettes, the space between them becomes a harbor of absolute silence. Here, the thin mist of helium and hydrogen settles into a state of perfect rhythmic equilibrium. You are drifting through this cooling shadow, a weightless observer of the universe's quiet, eternal clock. Molecules of ancient carbon and hydrogen continue their slow-motion dance, settling into the cold, quiet corridors of the spire. The light has traveled far to reach you, softened now into a liquid amber glow. You are suspended in this weightless, eternal pause, cradled by the rhythmic pulse of the nebula. The pillars remain as they have for millennia, towers of cold molecular gas, standing against the brilliant glare of nearby suns. Gravity's work is subtle and slow, drawing the dust into silent, perfect circle. You are weightless here, drifting in a rhythmic sea of emerald and deep, ancient gold. The emerald and amber hues of the pillars now blur into a single, peaceful twilight. Every atom of hydrogen and helium finds its perfect rhythmic rest in the deep cold. You are drifting in the cooling breath of the nebula, weightless and silent, as the universe prepares for its long sleep. Our observation comes to a gentle close. Drifting back to your quiet room, carry the truth that you are made of ancient stardust. The warmth of creation now cradles you. Surrender to the velvet dark, at one with the silent void. You are safe. You are peace. Good night.